Okay, we'll move out of Miners Rest. This is the township of Miners Rest. And this is the preemptive right of Clark. Now, Clark never owned it. He leased all this land, and that subdivision, the squatters were given, they weren't given, they had to buy it, 640 acres. And that's his preemptive right in there. And he wrote to the Surveyor General and said there was a block of land that had 3 mountains on it, and it wasn't very productive, and he would buy it at a cheaper price. And they didn't take much notice of him, and then he persisted in this, and they sent the Surveyor General up to have a look at it, and it had Mount Blowhard, Mount Hollaback, and Mount Pisgah. Mount Pisgah's here. And they were the 3 mountains he was talking about, and ended up that in that area that he wanted, it was some of the most productive land around, and he thought he would have got it cheaper, but they wouldn't give it to him. Mount Pisgah got its name because Clark had all this area which is known as Dowling Forest, and he named that after his wife. She was Elizabeth Dowling. The hill, he had a manager by the name of Pettit, and Pettit used to ride his horse across up onto the top of Mount Pisgah, and he could see where his shepherds were with their flocks, and they were all around this area, and he could pick them out from the top of this hill. And someone likened him to Moses in the Bible as he stood on Mount Pisgah and looked over the promised land. So that's how Mount Pisgah got its name. Mount Blowhard got its name. The settlers camped there and their tents were blown away the first night. So hence it got Blowhard. And Mount Hollaback is the 2 hills and it's joined together, and they've got a hollow in their back. Yeah. Well, Mount Cavern's down here. It's got a cavern in it. In the top, it had a volcano hole in the top of it. And even when I was a kid, you could go up there and the hole was still there. But it's been filled in now. Just as you get up here to the foot of Mount Blowhard, here's Blowhard, this little area was sort of named as Mount Blowhard. It had a hotel there, the Golden Well Hotel, and over there was the Rose, Thistle and Shamrock Hotel, and on this corner there was a big wheelwright blacksmith, and that was the junction of the road right through up here to Glendon, right up there. And I reckon that would go to Queensland if you followed it, that road. And that was the stock route, right down through here. Went out and you could follow that down to Geelong. And that was supposed to be the stock route. Whereas this road that went here went right down through Cable Creek, and the gold coaches would come down from Amherst with the gold on, down through there. Here was the Mount Blowhard School, run by the Presbyterian Church. In later years, it moved down to there when the railways come through. The railway come off the line over here at Creswick, right through there. It eventually come to the racecourse, and just up from the racecourse, about there, was the Miners Rest railway station. And then after a couple of years, they got confused with the mail going there instead of Miners Rest. So they changed that to Midas. And that was named after the Midas mines, which were all around this area over to Bald Hills, the Midas mines. And there were some big nuggets found there. The Midas mines were run by a lady, I just can't think of her name at present, and she used to go down and work with the miners. No one would put money into her mines because she was a woman until she started to find gold, and then everyone wanted to put money in to the mines. I'm going to tell you now where some of the prominent old pioneers lived at Miners Rest. And over near the cemetery, there's a place, a big bluestone place. It's still there, and that was where John Gray started. And John Gray was a pioneer of the area. Down over here, this red dot was the Dowling Forest School, and next to that, there's an old brick home back in the trees there. And they called it Dowling, and that was the first home of the Lewis family from Dowling. But that's all gone. The old homes there was a detective from Ballarat come out to see me one day, and he hadn't stopped this car, but they stopped a car and trailer up near Avoca, and he had all these stolen goods on him. And he had this photo of a house. It was a drawing of a house. And it was the Dowling house from Dowling. And he come wanting to know where it was. And that's where it was over there, this house. And they hoped to be able to pin this on him as a housebreaking. I asked him for the photo, for the painting, and he said when the case was solved they would give it to me, but I still haven't got it. So whether it's been solved, I don't know. The Davey family, old Patrick Davey, he lives over here. Not now, but it's still in the Davey name. That's where the sale yards are mooted to go at present, is over in that area. But that's where Patrick Davey. The Eames family lived over here. That was another old name, and there's no Eameses who live around now. Over on Gilly Street was Benjamin Kerr. None of his family are around, but he got a big brick homestead there. As we come down here, there's another stone homestead, and it was in the Williamson family. And the Williamsons were over on Creswick Road. And there's a mine there, the Great North Junction, and Williamson, he was the manager of it at Mount Rowan. Down here was Dalgleish. Now John Dalgleish, he was another old pioneer, and he was a member of the Ballarat Shire Council, as a matter of fact. He was a councillor. Along past the race course here, there's a road goes back in there, and that's William Ross's home. And old William Ross lived there. He was a champion ploughman and won a lot of championships. But while some of his descendants are around the Mount Hollaback area, Bald Hills, that farm down there has been changed. Down a little bit further was the Kennedys. John Kennedy, lives on Kennedy's Road now, that runs across past the entrance into the race course, and his house, Kennedy House, is on the National Trust, another old home there.